Hey guys, welcome to another episode of All Bass Creations Effects Tutorials, Demos, and Review. Today, we'll be talking about how to run your bass stereo and how to just stack a couple tones or IRs if you wanted to. So, we're going to talk about two different things: running two separate channels, or left and a right channel in stereo, and then basically how if we need to for a gig or whatever the case, run it mono as well. So the purpose of that would be, when you run it in mono, pretty much you'd be mixing the tones together, coming out of one channel instead of two separate channels. So this is comes in handy when you like the sound of like two cabinets at once. Like say you're a fan of 410s on top of a 15, things like that. Or you might be a fan of two 12s on the bottom and two 10s up top. And those will be separate IRs. You can run those in stereo, and then you or the sound engineer, whoever's mixing or whatever, can pan those and get some really good results. You just got to keep a few things in mind when you're doing it, and understand that a few rules. So let's just talk about how to set it up first. So as you can hear, very nice, pillowy, but still got some bite up top, and clarity up top. And these strings aren't even brand new, these have been quite broken in. They almost ready for a change, but not quite yet, but almost. But yeah, I'm using this Zoom B3 down here on the floor. See my hand here? Doo-doo-doo-doo. Right here on the floor, the three lights you see is a Zoom B3, which is an older Zoom unit. It's actually one of the first pedals I ever owned. But I'm using it today to split the signal into a left and right. So I go to the input, and then on the outputs, it'll be a left and a right. So the left signal is going to be the pedal board you see here on the floor, right? So that's one signal path. The right side is running to this pedal board up top. So essentially, all of this is going in one side, and all of this down here bottom is going in the other. So that's one way of doing things. Let's talk about that a little bit. That's what you pretty much been hearing. So let's dial that back. Let's isolate it. So the left side sound, or what is this? The right side. The right side sounds like this. Right? And so let's dial that back and see what we have on there. So I could run the 160 compressor from the B3. You typically in a setup I would be running it, but I have it turned off at the moment. But anything coming from the B3, and this is where it gets amazing at. You can use the B3, or you can use the MS60B, allow you to do this too, because it's got stereo, as well as the MS50G allow you to do it. CDR, you would need two inputs, because it's stereo in, stereo out. But these are mono mono in to stereo out. The OC5 also is another one that is really good for this. The line electroharmonics pedals also allow you to do this, because you can have one dry signal and one effect signal out from it. And what that allows you to do is it allows you to split it and either run it mono and have your dry signal running a separate signal path than your effects, or you can run the stereo and have one side, have them panned, or whatever the case you want to do in that situation. But yeah, those pedals allow. Also, the SGT allows you to do something. You can do something similar with this. So you can go to the input of this, and you can run the preamp out, and then you can run the through. In the through, it's going past the signal, the bass's input, straight through to the through output. And the preamp, if you have the preamp on, it'll be running through the preamp out. So that'll also give you two separate signal chains there to start with. So, let me see. Anything else I have up here that'll do it right? I know these like the Key 9 and the Series 9, Key 9 and stuff like that allows you to do that stuff easily. Rabbit sitar also. Um, yeah, and so that's all the ones that I have that'll do it. Oh, the B6 allows you to do this, but we're gonna use the B6 for another purpose today. Because that's gonna be our IR loader, and basically we're gonna use that to really finish the sound. So this is just the preamp, the SGT. So you can get a lot out of that right there, and you ain't even did nothing but add the preamp. That's just the preamp, it's a nice analog preamp, which I've also, Tonex is going to be all my settings for my stuff like that. Just by the way, subscribe, like, and share. Let's not forget about that, guys. That's pretty important. Definitely need you to subscribe. Definitely need you to like it. And if you got a bass friend that this will help out, you can send it to them too. Or just share it to your stories or whatever. I appreciate it. Trying to come up in these YouTube streets. You know what I'm saying? So, beautiful sound from an analog preamp, of course. But you don't have to have that. If you have a multi-effects unit that you're using to split this, you can do that with your amp, your amp models, things like that. And I think like the HX Stomp will probably allow you to have the amp model on one channel and then have another channel, I believe, signal path. Only thing I don't like about I'm just not a fan of Line 6 stuff in general, but that's just me. Mostly because they don't really do anything geared towards bass players. It's all geared towards guitar players, and then bass players can also use it, but it doesn't have all the features that we need to do bass stuff. Like for the amps and stuff like that, it's not enough of them, But let's keep going. We ain't going down that rabbit hole today. So I got the SGT running into the B6, and then we got it running into a 1176 style limiter rather. Let's dial this stuff back here. So this is just the preamp and a limiter on the right side. Such a good sound already. Like even without adding anything else, you could go and with that sound right there and you'd be fine. But as we like to experiment and have different options for different sounds, different scenarios. So then I would crank on a IR there, and so real quick, here's the settings for the 1170s. So it's limiter 76 on here, but it's 1176 style limiter. There's your settings. Man. Then for the IR, I'm using an Aguilar 410 with a tweeter, and it's mic'd up with a SM57 on a tweeter, and then the RE20 on, which is an Electro Voice RE20 on the speakers. So let's hear a little bit of that. And I have it, as you can see, I don't have a whole lot dialed in there. I got about 8% in there, you know. Yeah, about 8%. And then I wouldn't even say 8%, excuse me, 11, about 11%, but it's inverted. I say 8 to 11 rather. That's what I meant to say. 8 to 11% is generally where I would have this balance on here. But I use it inverted, so I use the negative side of it, which flips the phase of it. So I'm using that on one side, and then, all right. So that's it there. So let's hear a little bit of that. Sounds amazing. Sounds just like it's running through the actual cabinet. So that gives you a nice right side of the chain there, right? And then, you know, I usually finish it off with this pre 73 set just for saturation. As you can see, I don't have any EQ modded on there, so everything is flat. I just got a little, just using it for saturation. Beautiful tone there. Just adding that stuff. So far, again, just to recap, we went into the Zoom B3 down here on the floor just to split it in the stereo. Same thing you can do with a MS60B. A Boss OC5 allows you to do it, as well as Electro Harmonics 9 series also allow you to do that same thing. Effects have one affected thing and then one dry output, and you pretty much can split the signal and for stereo. Or you can use something like a SGT, which I have a through, and you know, bam. So right side of that equation of that stereo image is going to be the SGT running into the B6, which is running into an 1176 style limiter, into an IR, and then into a pre 73 mic preamp, or you know, a Neve 1073 mic preamp is what it's emulating. So you know, you can recreate this signal chain, but this right here, that signal chain you're seeing right there, preamp, limiter, speaker, and then the pre 1073 is just emulating what a lot of studios would do. That's exactly, if you went into like a really expensive studio, they would run it through. If they had this equipment there, you know, you could run it through this type of stuff. Some people will put the limiter after the mic pre, but I like it before personally, just so I could have just that saturation at the end, because I'm not coloring it at all. Just the saturation at the end there of that chain. And then that's your right side. That's finished. Bam. And then we're going to run the left side. Would run through this entire bottom board here. Just the same way this The right side is, yeah, it's just running to the SGT, but it's running through this whole board up here. So right side, left side, down bottom, right. So I got on that I'm just running straight to the Tone X1, and the Tone X1 is running a tone model of my Magellan Pre running into that Harkey TX 600 flat, into the preamp just to get the tube warmth out of there. Then it was mic'd up. This Fender Bassman Neo 115 with a tweeter was mic'd up with a CAD D10 kick mic and a GXL 2200 condenser mic by CAD as well. So, and both of those mics are relatively inexpensive, won't break your pockets, but if you know how to mic things up properly, you can definitely have those sound amazing. And let's just hear a little bit of that, cause that's that whole. Oh, and then I had it. Trying to remember. I might have had that run, cause this is a complete rig I'm pretty much modeled. So all of that's and it's I also use the 1073 pre that's on the Zoom B6. So pretty much when I was modeling it, I went through the Magellan preamp and then into the Zoom B6 which is using just the pre 1073 for saturation, and then into the preamp of the Harkey TX600, the flat, just to get that tube sound because it has a tube preamp in there. Then running that through the Bassman Neo 115, mic'd up with two CAD mics, a D10 and a GXL 2200, and that's all that one setting is in this. All that's in this Tone X1 right now, which is crazy. So basically, I can just switch that on, and all of that stuff is already within this one. They call it a complex rig. You pretty much, it's the sound of those pedals and running through that head and that speaker cabinet through those two mics. So it's all of that model. So I get a little bit of that by itself. So as you heard at the end there, I have it pretty scooped, and that's running the Gensler Magellan preamp, exactly as you see it in that configuration right there, those exact settings. So a little bit of the Curve A, and running into there, with a little bit of scoop on the actual EQ, and just that running into that pretty much that setup right here, and with the two mics, and it gives you it models the entire rig, which is crazy to just have in this little pedal, along with a little touch of reverb in there, no compression on there. I don't believe I have any compression on there. Let me see. And by the way, all my Tonex rigs and stuff and preamp models and everything else are going to be available as well real soon. I'm still making a lot of them. Still putting them together for you guys, but eventually all these are going to be that you hear me using on the Tonex, and are going to be available for you to buy. And it'll be at a reasonable price, so you'll have my exact Magellan setups for the Curve A and Curve B, as well as I'll be taking requests for what settings you guys will want an actual rig of. Because what I do is I can do the stomp separate from the heads. I can do the stomp and the head. I can do the stomp, the head, and the cabinet. Or I can do just the bass rigs I have here. I've already done them with my personal settings. But anything that I have, and that you guys like, and I can also do custom versions of the tone models for you, and that'll be a certain price as well. I can mix a few of the pedals together, things like that you may want, And what I would use this for, guys, personally, if I was y'all, get you a Tonex, and if you want to try out certain pedals and certain things like that, or preamps, it'll allow you to do that cheaply, as well as you'll actually own it in the Tonex one. So, for example, say you like the way I set up my SGT, but you don't want to buy SGT. Right, you don't want to spend that money for that or the venture head, right? Because it's pretty much a venture head and a pedal, right? You'll be able to get that tone model by itself. It's in a stomp form, so it'll be like having this exact stomp box in the exact snapshot that you would request it in your Tonex, and you didn't have to buy a whole SGT, and that's $400 for just the SGT. You could probably get that sound you're going to get that sound for significantly cheaper than that. And you'll be able to EQ it on the pedal and adjust different things in the software. So that is one advantage of having a Tonex. You can actually be able to try out a lot of stuff, different brand sounds, or get the actual pedal that you'll be looking for. You know what I'm saying? Or a bass pedal. Like if you want an Aguilar AG sound, you'll be able to get that in the Tonex, and it'll be spot on to it. I'm trying to tell you, this pedal is spot on with this modeling stuff. Especially with the amps, it's exact. Amps and pedals is not even distinguishable, even with the amps and stuff. But yeah, that's enough of that, because you're hearing the amp now. Let's go ahead a little more. And so, on all my rigs, guys, you're gonna be able to hear that tweeter. Like, that's one of my pet peeves with a lot of IRs, is that you don't get no tweeter action on them, and the tweeter is a huge part of the sound for me. So on all mine, you'll be able to get that tweeter action. You know what I'm saying? Uh, right? Boom. So that's your left side. But now we can take those and pan them just a little bit. I'm just gonna pan them just a little bit like that. Now you hear both sides. And I'm gonna do them where it's a hard pan too, so you can hear that as well. It's different options with it. The panning is going to can make a huge difference and make your bass sound this big, or you can't see my arm, but it can sound this big, or it could be sound huge. That's whoa. Yeah, yeah, that's funny. But let's go. So here's both sides of the signal. So again, right side coming out there. So use the B Zoom B3 to split the signal in the stereo. Running right side is SUT B6 and in on out to the mixer, right? And the left side is straight to the Tone X to the mixer. So pretty much I just got 2 amp setups. One on the left side, it's a little more processed, and then one on the right side that's less processed. Well, no, I wouldn't even say less processed. It just doesn't have as much compression on it. So I just I have them set up slightly different sounds, so just so you can hear them back to back. Together. Yeah. So that's the you know that's the gist of that with the stereo setup, right? And you can also let's, all right, we're gonna medium pan them. So we're gonna pan them just a little bit more. Get a little bit more separation between the two sounds. And guess what? If I want to run, um, if I want to change those independently, I can. Um, it's not even an issue. You know. Uh, and guess what? I can still, even with that, I can still, I still got my amp there too. You know. So I still got that as an option as well. So I got my live bass amp cabinet sound. And it's something you could do live as well. And that would actually give you three different inputs to the system. You run in stereo from your preamps and IR. So one of the reasons I love this Tone X is because it when it comes to me running stereo, I can now model what I have in the room, which I've always wanted these amps because none of these amps are available on any multi effects unit like this that Harkey head and the Gensler and this SGT and Venture series that Ampeg just did is not available on anything yet. This AG preamp is not available on anything. They're only doing like the D750 and D750 751 stuff like that. But they not giving me like my Magellan presets and along with the cabinet too. So I'm getting like my favorite combination right now is pretty much anything with that Fender Bassman Neo just sounds amazing. I don't know why that 115 with that tweeter sounds so good, but that and I still love my BC 410s back there. And I got to get through modeling the rest of that. With my different settings and different amp heads with that. But my go-to right now has been that Fender Bassman 115 Neo. It's a pricier cab. They run about 800. I actually got that joint for like two. Yeah, got a used for like 200 from a store, from a music. I don't know why they were selling it, but well, the tweeter was out. Was out. It was they just didn't want to fix it, and so they gave it to me pretty much, but it allows you to do stuff like that. So along with, let's see, along with me being able to change my cabs and stuff on the actual units rather. So I can go to what's this? This one. This is an AG preamp on the left side, and it's an AG preamp with a running that Fender Bassman 115, and then on the right side is the let's do the Magellan running into a Ampeg 410 IR on the Zoom B6, which you can see on the screen there. These are the settings. It's pretty much the same settings as the other. I use the same settings for all these IRs. It just sounds good on here for some reason, like that. But bam, so now I got my 410s and I got my 115. I got my stack there, you know what I'm saying? Or I can have them like they spread out, sit instead of stacked on top of each other. You know, pretty much when you have them, you don't pan them at all. You know, they're stacked on top, but then you can also have the ability to pan them outwards, and then you have a much bigger sound, you know. So it's it just gets bananas with these options. Oh, and the thing is, the right side, the B6 also that RR is allowing. I have that running, so I'm getting some of the preamp sound in there, uh, as well as the IR. It's mostly the preamp sound, just with a little bit of the IR sprinkled on it. So it's about 11% of that inverted phased IR on here, on the B6. And on the Tone X, it's 100% of the tone model. So 100% of that preamp running into the 1073 mic pre, and then running into the Harkey TX600 head, just the pre flat, and then running that into the 115 with the two mics on it. So yeah, you know, you got options, man. Like that's it. Just instantly allows you to change things, and when you have your B6 and the Tone X set up, you can literally just be experimenting. Like I can have all preamps or just no IRs on the Tone X side, and just running one IR on the right side, the B6 side, like this. And that's actually the no, is it which one is that? There we go. That's the Harkey. This the actual Harkey head EQ that I modeled. Fire sound by itself. And you know, I still got the other side running the same. Both together. But yeah, so that's just how I do my stereo stuff when I want a stereo setup. You know, even if you don't have a Tone X1, you know, I'm just really recommending guys get that at this point. Like it's just $170. You're not gonna get a better deal than that. Especially that you could take all your amps that you have in the room with you, and you just have to learn how to mic them properly and do things like that. So, or you can get somebody like myself settings real soon. You know what I'm saying? You'll be able to get those real soon, and those have the IRs included. And what I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna be doing the full rigs and the complex rigs, and then I'll have the stomp boxes and the amp heads as well. And then you can choose what you want to do from there. You know, what sounds you want to mix and match, um, and what textures you want to put together. Cause like I said, me switching through here. Let me see. So let's go to. So this is an Ampeg 115 with no tweeter on the right side, and then on the left side it's going to be. This is the SGT running into the pre 1073 into the Harkey flat, and then into the Fender Bassman Neo, mic'd up with D10 and a GXL 2200 on the tweeter. So that's 215s running right there. You know, it's a nice pillowy sound. 215s is your sound. That's an option. Um, you know, you can change this IR in here. That's why I love the V6. You know, it's got some great IRs. Also, if you download the Jensen IR collection from Zoom's website, it is another Jensen 15. It's 215 settings in there. It's like C15 N1 and then C15 N2. N1 is the one with the tweeter, N2 is the one without the tweeter. And the tweeter. But it definitely it's another IR you can load in there. You can also use it for your Tone X1 as well. You can load it in when you go to the settings. You just do an amp model, right? So you do an amp model, then you go in there. You can grab that IR, that 115 with the tweeter IR, and throw it in there, and then bam. You know. Let me see. Let's see what this feel like. You know, you can experiment with the phase, whether you need to flip it or not, invert it or not. And that's fire. That's fire. And that's that Jensen C15N1, you know, with those settings there, you know. And the Tone X1 running an SGT. And so like you can literally, another thing I like, I can run two separate, like I can basically, if I wanted to, because I'm modeling these preamps in different settings, right? I can have different settings. I don't have to buy this preamp twice to have it in stereo or to run two separate things of it. So let's just do a quick experiment real quick. Let's see what that sounds like. Let's see what they sound like with just the preamps back to back. Let's go. You tell me which one was the real one. Here we go. Tell me which one is the real one. And I made it so you guys can't cheat this time. Yeah, you got to figure out which one I'm doing. Which one is it? You don't know. You don't know. You don't know yet. So So you can't even tell the difference between the two, which is crazy. Other than a slight volume difference, and guess what? Guess what? This is the Tonex. And this is the actual Aguilar preamp. Absolute madness. That is crazy. That is bananas. Now I got two of everything. And it's because any preamp I get, I can just throw it in there, and now I have it. Not only that, but you get all the free tone net model stuff, the tone net stuff, and you got all types of amps on there already. You don't have these particular amps that I have and the setup that I have. Not yet, but because you'll have to buy that. I still, you know, um, got a BA head over here and set up a Ampeg 210s with a tweeter I need to mic up and do all these different combinations and stuff with. I need to make it like a list and just like kind of check it off when I do it. But it's gonna be a whole collection for you guys of stuff amp models and stuff that anything. If you like how my stuff sounds, a big part of it is some of the gear I'm using. Big part of it is also my hands, but I can't duplicate those and give them to you. I can duplicate my amp setup, and then you can manipulate it for your purposes, and that'll definitely save you a ton of time, because what people don't understand is it takes years just to know how to get your bass to sound right in a mix or in a room or whatever the case. It's not just as much as playing. So tone is, there's a reason why they call us tone chasers, or, you can easily go and you see guitars with rooms full of amps and things like that. Like, guys don't have all that stuff for no reason. Like all those amps and guitars and basses, all that stuff sounds different. So Um, that's why I know my bass has a lot more booty than most basses. Like I barely even turn my knob from center. I mean, like I just tap it just a smidge off of the notch. It's like a notch in the middle of my bass knob. I just slightly. But this is my bass flat, right? Just to give you an example. Let's turn both of those on, right? And then I'm just going to turn my bass knob. So, I know most basses don't have that much bottom to them, you know what I'm saying? But I would say I make I make these tone models. So when I sell them to you guys, these are the same exact ones I'm using on mine. Like these are my personal ones I'm using. Um, but I make them with a little extra booty, so you guys can you can have plenty of bottom, and I make them with a. I make sure I get that tweeter just right in there, So if you need more highs, you adding the treble, using the EQ to add some treble is actually going to do something, like and actually do something effective, with a small amount of EQing versus having to crank the treble knob to try to get something out of the speaker that doesn't even have a tweeter on it. So or mic'd up separately. So that's something to look out for, guys, when you're looking for IRs or different things. Um, what what sound do you normally like out of the amp? If you turn the tweeter off every time you use a cabinet, then you don't need the tweeter mic. Yeah. So that's why like on the Zoom stuff, I like how they did it. They got the RE20 stuff separate, then the SM57 stuff, but then they have them both together in one IR that's mixed really well, and then you can go in and do your thing. But yeah, the hard part in doing all of this is just deciding what sounds you want, because it's not just, oh, let me pick one amp and one IR. It's like I can have the same rig stereo, or I can have one sound this way and one sound another way. So it gives you plenty of options. And not only that, but when it comes to effects, if you're not running, so if I run this synth to both of the speakers, now it's like stupid. It just gets stupid. Watch this. And that's just what we've been running, and I just added the Z synth on the B3, you know, which is also, that synth is available on pretty much all Zoom pedals, you know what I'm saying? But it's one of my favorite synth pedals on any joint. That joint sounds fire. You can easily doctor that up and do some stuff with it, you know. But now you got nice stereo synth based stuff as well, or you can have one sound be one thing and the other side be another. One side. So let's do something like that, and then we'll do this. All right. So or any whatever combination of effects you would like to use. Like I said, I just have mine split up. I just already had. Normally, I run these boards in parallel, but oh no, and normally run them in series. But this configuration, I'm running them in parallel for the stereo, so I can have two different. The benefit of it, yes, it's an extra hassle, and yes, it does require more cables and it requires more stuff. It does, but it sounds amazing. It's just something another tone to experiment with. Maybe sometimes you are going to prefer the mono, sound versus the stereo image. It just depends on the situation, but I find myself gravitating towards the stereo version. So if you want to take this same type of setup and still have two parallel signal inputs, but coming out of mono signal, that's also a thing. But I'm gonna do another video on that because we're already at an hour here. So y'all make sure y'all subscribe, like, and share. You know what I'm saying? I'm bringing y'all the game here. Just so we can recap real quick. So we're using whatever unit to split it into stereo, split it into two separate outputs, left or right, right? So in this case, we're using the Zoom B3, but we know we got other options, right? So right side, we were running analog preamp. So we were running originally we were running the SGT into the B6 and then into the audio interface. And on the left side, we were pretty much running the left side output into the Tone X1. So we'd have stereo rigs. So I have one side with an analog preamp and 1176 style limiter into an IR impulse response, and then into a 1073. And then the other one, I pretty much had that same model set up on, like, I have all of these modeled through a 1073 pre running into a Harkey head flat and a Fender Bassman Neo mic'd up with two microphones modeled in the Tone X. Like all that modeled in one setting I could turn on and off, which is crazy. Including the amp, everything, just turn everything on and off, which is crazy, and just have straight dry signal. That's ridiculous. But yeah, those, and then I panned them. You can have them stacked on top of each other, and then you can pan them a little bit, and then you can pan them real wide. So you got options with that. That's just something else to contribute to your sound. Make you sound just that much better. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just everything is just a little bit of gains there. But yeah, hopefully your sound engineer doesn't have a problem with it running an extra channel. Hopefully, well, they don't mind, man. The way I look at it, y'all don't mind running that stereo for guitars. Y'all don't mind running the stereo for keyboard players. Y'all don't mind running anything for anybody else. So y'all can run stereo for bass too. So, and it gives them flexibility. Which sound they may want to favor, or, they can mix a little bit easier when they have things separate like that, So this has been another episode of All Bass Creations, Effects, Tutorials, Demos, and Reviews. Subscribe, like, and share. I am the Bass Negus, Negus, on all social media platforms. Go check out all my music, allbasscreations.bandcamp. Or you can stream it all, and you can find most of my music under the Bass Negus. But if you search Reggie Payne Bass, my first All Bass Creation album will pop up too on streaming services. Also, hit the super thanks and hit the Cash App. I definitely appreciate y'all hanging with me, and I always appreciate $1 or $2 tip, for the information, and we'll kick it from here. I'll talk to you guys. Peace.